3-pointer. All right, we're back. Texting from a mid-sack. A pleasantly nice, comfortable night here in the sack. Segment 2, IDD. For those of you in the know, I don't disagree. The redoubtable one himself has returned. Thomas Izzo. Middle initial again?
J.
Thomas J.
Come on.
Thomas J.
Come on.
Doesn't that feel like a president?
It's
Thomas
the same
J.
as yours, dude.
That's right, Ronald J.
Come on.
I don't know which sounds more. I think Thomas J. sounds better than Ronald J. Thomas J. Thomas J. and the Hizzy.
I've always loved the name Thomas.
Thomas J. and the Hizzy.
Named after Tommaso.
There you go. There you have
Izzo
it. There you go.
Of Castel San George, Italia.
There you go, sir. There's lineage. This is the lineage.
Named
Bill
after
Walton, the lineage.
Named after my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
My son is named after my father.
John, my grandfather, my mother's side, John Russo.
Boom.
That's him. Yeah, there you go.
That's where.
And my father. My mom, they couldn't decide. Usually in the Italian household, the second child, the son rather, is named after the grandfather. And my mother wanted to name it after him. And my father was like, no, so they did both. And that's where RJ came from.
So who's Ronald?
That's my father.
Your father.
My father is Ronald.
Okay.
And my mother's father is John, who was a Marine and won the Medal of Honor. Talk about tough shoes to live up to.
Did you ever go by Ronald or Ronnie?
I do now. Ron, which is my dad. Yeah, Ron.
Hold on.
Ron Migliaccio.
Hold the fuck.
At work.
They call you Ron?
At work. Ron.
I don't know what the fuck I would do if somebody calls you Ron in my presence.
Why would that rattle you so much?
I would be flustered.
You'd be like, who?
I would be like, did you just, who the fuck are you talking
Who's
to?
Ronald? Who's Ronald?
Because
No,
that's
Ron
RJ, motherfucker.
That's RJ.
That is RJ.
R
bitch.
to the J.
Okay, there's no Ron up in here.
No Ron up in there.
You better take your ass somewhere else.
I'm looking for Ron. Well, he must be in a wheelchair, so Ron. Fucking Ron.
Dude, if somebody called you that, it would throw me off.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And I mean, look, it's your name, of course. Like, I get it.
Well,
but
it's never. Thing is, like, this was the first time. Everywhere I've ever been, it's been RJ.
this is the first time.
They were like, because they put it on my email as Ron, so I just left it and they call me Ron. I never told them my nickname.
No way.
Never told them. They still don't know it's RJ. I've been there almost 3 years. They still don't know RJ's my name. That it says it on my birth certificate. They don't know.
Hold on. Your birth certificate says
It says
RJ?
RJ and in parentheses Ronald John.
So your real name is RJ.
It could be both names are on there.
Okay.
Which the story is the doctor told my mother you can't put initials on a. And my mother goes, I just gave birth to a 12-pound boy. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And that was the end of that conversation. That was the end of that. That's where. There you go. So. I'm like, and
You were 12 pounds?
12 pounds.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's 12 pounds.
Big son of a bitch.
Yeah. 6'4", not small. But
He's a big man.
yeah. Anyway, segment 2. Baseball.
You never know where it's going to go sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you should know. Baseball. Right now, what inning is that?
Oh, the Mets?
Yeah, what inning?
Bottom 7. Mets are down 7-2.
Okay. Now the Mets going into tonight had won 5 in a row.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be a fucking entitled bitchy little fan.
Why are you entitled?
Well, because it's like,
Why do you feel that way?
so I've been pissed at the Mets all year because I feel like they're playing. Sorry, I lost my sandal.
That's all right.
Mets have been playing down, not playing good. Then they go on a run. They win 2 of 3 from the Rays, sweep the Guardians, and now they're losing, and I'm acting like a little bitch again. So, part of me wants to take a step back, but the reason I don't is these same issues are going to continue to happen whether they keep winning or not, and eventually they're not going to be able to sustain it.
And why is that?
Because their starting pitching is just putting them in a hole. Now, over the weekend, they got 2 great starts from Verlander.
Yeah, he showed up. I saw that.
That was an amazing start.
Yeah.
8 innings.
He was good. He was real good.
1 run.
Yeah.
Scherzer pitched well.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning that game.
Yeah.
But, starters have been putting them in 5-0, 6-0 holes. Tonight, it was what did they open up? It was 4-0. Mm-hmm. They got it to 4-1. And then, then it was 6-1. Now it's 7-2. They're out of the game before they can really get into it offensively. And this segment brought to you by Diet Dr. Pepper and cream soda.
Cream soda.
0 sugar.
The greatest discovery, I owe it all to him because he's the one who called it. One of the greatest discoveries ever. And by the way, with vodka,
Oh, it's delicious.
Superb.
Tito's.
Superb. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Tito's.
I mean,
Now,
talk about it unlocking a gem.
So,
Literally.
right.
It's like you found a chest of gold and there it was right in the middle.
You keep the carbs down, too.
Yeah, and you keep the carbs down.
Now, if you end up eating a fucking Wawa hoagie, then it doesn't matter that you kept the carbs down.
Why do you gotta ruin it, man?
What do you mean?
What better to wash down a Wawa hoagie than this? If you're gonna do it,
You don't have to worry about being 300 pounds. I do.
the-
Okay. So allow me to shit on myself for a second.
I don't think this one.
Anyway, in addition to that, the starting pitching hurting them. Buck Showalter is pissing me off.
Now, I asked you a question off
Multiple
the air,
ways.
and because they'd won 5 in a row, and I thought that the Tampa Bay series might have, and it looked like that was where they were going. It actually was a catalyst to get them on a bit of a run and get them back in it, and they'd won 5 in a row. But he still wasn't happy, and that's not just about tonight. And I asked him a question. I said, "Do you think they're winning in spite of Buck Showalter?" And I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Okay, so yes, I do think they're winning in spite of him.
Okay, why?
Because I hate the lineups he's rolling out there.
Really?
We brought up the kids. Okay, so now we have our 3 big rookies minus one who's still in AAA. But they brought up, so they're all on the team.
Mm-hmm.
All week last week, they were the catalysts for these comeback wins. Every night, they were a part of it. And the next day, he would sit one of them. You know, and Francisco Alvarez tonight is sitting in favor of Gary Sanchez. Okay, Gary Sanchez has flamed out for the Yankees and the Twins, up and down through AAA, can't get his defense together, strikes out all the time.
Why does he keep hanging around?
Because he can hit bombs.
Okay, his talent, he's a long.
He can hit
he's
bombs,
all right. That's what I
but,
don't know this guy.
But,
all right.
you know, strikes out a ton. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
hasn't been able to figure it out to stay on.
He's the definition of hit or miss.
Right.
Literally, if he's on, boom. But
So now you've got this guy taking reps away from your stud, who you said wasn't good enough defensively to play in the majors.
yeah, as a catcher, right?
As a catcher.
Yeah.
But yet he's in, you know, the top, I don't know, 5 or 4 percentile of catchers in terms of framing ability. Like, he'll get you strikes that aren't strikes because of the way he receives the ball.
Yeah.
You know, he's playing good defense. He plays hard as shit, brings energy, and Gary Sanchez is playing for him tonight. And to me, that you start down a level when you don't put the right guys in the lineup. I think the whole team feels that. Like,
Interesting.
okay, we've got this retread catcher in here, our stud catcher,
Interesting.
who was one of the main catalysts all week last week.
For the 5-game win
For
streak.
the 5-game win streak,
Yeah.
we had an off day Monday. Why isn't he playing on Tuesday night? Don't you?
That's a valid question.
Yeah. And to me, you set your team back right out of the gate. It doesn't mean they can't win.
Yeah, you know-
But like, you just take them down a notch.
To your point, the one thing about baseball that I've always loved, because I was this way, is that it's probably the most superstitious sport I've ever encountered in my life. Okay, now all athletes have a little superstitious in them, but baseball takes it to a whole new level, I find. And if you doubt me, just watch Bull Durham and some of the dialogue back and forth on some of these things. And by the way, it's a whole 100% true, which is what makes Bull Durham one of the classics. But the thing about baseball is, if you've won 5 in a row, you're not changing the fucking lineup. 9 times out of 10, you're not doing that. This is the one time that you see somebody doing that. Like, why would you do that? You've won 5 in a row for the first time all year. No. You ride it out. You do. If nothing else, you ride it out. You don't. Kevin Costner says in the movie, he goes, never fuck with a winning streak. And he's 100%, by the way, he's 100% right about that. Whatever you're doing that you think is working for you and that's going on, you keep doing it. You just do. Because
That's
whatever
why
it
I say
is,
they're winning in spite of Buck,
Yeah.
because he changed it every fucking day. You know, and then tonight, in addition to not having Alvarez in, he takes McNeil out of the game. So McNeil is not starting either. And you have Eduardo Escobar starting at second. Escobar has not been good this year. He's been great coming off the bench and pinch hitting.
Yeah.
And that's how they should keep using him.
Yeah.
But you sit down 2 of our best hitters.
After you've won.
After you've won 5 in a row, you started to gain ground on the Braves.
Yeah, like why?
You're back in the wild card spot.
And again, This sport is the most. Whatever it is working. You don't change it.
But it's not even superstition.
No.
Look at the fucking numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I always look at the numbers first. You know me.
And it's like,
if the numbers are bearing that out, evolve by even more.
Yeah,
so,
because the team has got to be going to look at the lineup card and going like, oh damn, why isn't Alvarez in there?
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what was he doing in this 5-game win streak? The catcher, like offensively speaking, what were his numbers? Do you know,
dude?
Like during that fight, like what he was doing?
He had the 3-run homer.
Yep.
In the bottom of the 9th.
Yep.
Against the Rays to tie it.
Remember that?
Okay.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
That was one of the. That might have been the first one.
Okay.
He had another game-tying hit.
Okay.
A single through the left. That was against the Guardians on Friday night. Mm-hmm. Came up with 2 outs and a man on second and hit a single through the hole to score him and tie the game. He hit a home run earlier in that game when they were down 5-0. Mm-hmm. So he
hit one then.
It's like this guy's got to play every day.
Yeah.
He's
doing this multiple times
for the last 30 days,
which tells me it's not a fluke. No. You gotta. One thing to get up and but if you're sustaining this over a 4-week period, that's not a fluke anymore.
Dude, he's starting to show he's one of those guys. If he's in a big spot, he's going to come through. You cannot find guys like that.
No, that there tells you something. I mean, if that's the case, then even more so. Which again would definitely make sense with why you're so disappointed in Buck Showalter because he should know this.
Right.
All managers are stat nuts. Baseball. They can tell you every fucking stat. They can tell you how many times a game a guy takes a piss. Okay, they literally could. They're those guys, managers. They're statisticians inside their head. They're looking at every problem because it's baseball. You got to do that, especially with the unknown of the pitcher and the hitter and all that shit. There's no guarantee when you make contact where the fuck the ball's going to go. Okay, so it's just like, with all that stuff, you got to do probabilities, things like that. And especially baseball managers, that's their fucking thing, which flies in the faces. So why is Buck doing this?
I don't know. It's like, so you read articles and you don't really know if the people writing them actually know these as facts sometimes. But people say that Buck likes playing older players. He doesn't trust younger players.
At all.
That's what they're saying. Like they say he has a hard time allowing the young guys to kind of work their way in. Because he trusts veterans. And I think he respects veterans more.
Okay.
But my thing is, if your young guys are coming in and impacting the game and doing it in a way where it's like, I like watching that guy play. He's playing hard. He's playing with energy. And you're sitting him for a fucking AAA dude that's not going to be here.
Well, let me ask you this.
Why?
To your point. Because, and I get trusting veterans. I get that. That translates to all sports. Obviously, you trust veterans more than you trust young guys because they got experience. But having said that, if that's Buck's mentality, and he's never won a World Series, did it ever occur to Buck that maybe, just maybe, you can still, if you have a bunch of a veteran-laden roster, you can plug in 1 or 2 rookies because they're surrounded by veterans who can kind of carry them when they're down and give them that. Why wouldn't you take that approach? Yeah. If you want to have okay, fine, keep them, but every now and then you got 1 or 2 you can sprinkle into that lineup and keep them in there and let them grow with the veterans who can help them along the way. Because that's how you get experience at the end of the day. Yeah. And having those guys around you to be in your ear when you mess up, that's just as good as having. And he's got a veteran-laden team.
Yeah.
Aren't the Mets by and large a veteran-laden team? They're
one of the oldest teams in the league.
So what's the harm? It's my question in saying, look, okay, I get that, Buck, but hey, work with me here, okay? Right. If you got 2 or 3 guys, 6 vets, 3 rookies, 7 vets, 2 or 8, whatever the fuck it is, why don't you do that? Because if the kid's performing or producing, the numbers are still the numbers. You got to get them in the damn game.
Yes.
But I'm going to put him out there with 7. Those 2 with 7 veterans or 3 with 6 veterans on games like this, and get them experience, but keep the veterans around to kind of rein them in and keep them in line. Why not take that approach?
Yeah,
wouldn't that make sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, but they're not playing like rookies anyway.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm just saying from the standpoint of if they hit a slump, they got veterans on the to pick them and get them, help them through it.
Yeah, of course.
That's the ideal scenario.
Well, look, if they hit a slump and you go, okay, I'm gonna give them a day. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
But he didn't have a day.
no, I
He
mean,
hasn't had a bad day.
they were off yesterday. So I think he should be playing today. Now, who knows what the circumstances are? There could be a million different reasons why he's not playing. But all the talk is about how Buck is like this with the young guys, so it kind of makes sense. And I hope that he can evolve and maybe, like Tom Coughlin did,
Eventually.
and kind of pull off that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
But I get the veteran thing. But I'm saying with a team with as much experience as that one has, is it not the ideal scenario where if you got some rookies, put them in there with those guys around them? Because they'll grow up faster.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You would think, right? Common sense would
Well,
say.
that's what you're starting to see is these
Yeah.
is these players growing
And if
up.
they have a bad day, so what? Fuck, everybody has those.
The whole team has
Yeah,
bad days.
veterans have those.
Yes.
Like, fucking let them fight through it. And he's got the supporting cast to help him or they through it. That's
vet-
what I don't get.
He wants to start Tommy Pham at DH instead of Mark Vientos. And it's like, dude, Tommy Pham was a last-minute signing. He's not the future of your team. He's not even this year of your team.
Yeah.
He's supposed to come in off the bench every now and then and surprise people.
And surprise people.
He's
I
not
mean-
supposed to be your fucking left fielder or your DH against lefties. No.
Yeah.
Come on. Stop setting your team back by putting in some B squad lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that...
Unless there's a health issue, your top guys should be fucking playing. Period.
That's a question that I would hope, if it hasn't been posed to Mr. Showalter already, that one of the you'd think the New York media, they're not going to be afraid to do it, would ask that question. And Lou, if you know this guy's history, and you know how he is with veterans and young players, why? That's a question I would have thought somebody in the New York media, who's the beat writer, whoever's covering this team, would have asked.
Yeah.
Like, look, I get the veteran thing, but you're in an ideal scenario here. You can put you could put a couple guys in there and let them grow with them and let them carry them through it. Hell, that's the perfect scenario. That's that you want as a manager or as any kind of coach. Like, if I'm a basketball, if I got to put a freshman there, but I put 4 juniors around him or 2 seniors and 2 juniors, like, okay, he's fine because those kids will carry him, help him through. Like, that's the ideal scenario as a coach, regardless of the sport.
Yeah.
If you got 1 or 2 young rookie studs, but you got a veteran lane team, that's even better. Oh my God.
Yeah, but baseball's not even one of those sports where, like, that's crazy necessary. Because it's like, if the veterans are on your team, they can still be there helping to guide in the dugout. It's not one of those sports where, like, he's getting caught in this situation out there. No. You're playing third base. If a ball's hit to you, you know where to go with it. If you make a mistake, one of your teammates, next to you or in the dugout, a veteran could be like, hey, let it go. Like, they don't need to be protected by veterans.
No, they don't. I'm just saying where in Showalter's case, this is where I'm just saying
That's where the compromise
that's where the
lies.
compromise should be, though.
Yeah.
And that would make sense. And then there's give and take there. It's like, okay, Buck, go with that, but let's get these guys in there with it because this is the ideal scenario to get. You want these guys to be veterans too one day.
Right.
Get them there. Help them get
But
there.
the reporters asked, and they said, hey, and this was one day where, like, he played Vogelback instead of one of the young guys at DH.
Yeah.
Or he played Tommy Pham at DH. No, it was Vogelback. And then they were like, why didn't you put Vientos in there or something like that? And he was like, well, I mean, Vogel's a good choice, too. It's just like,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
Yeah, that's his answer.
Like, Vogelback is your DH. He's got 2 home runs all year.
A DH is supposed to be at worst, your second best home run producer.
Your power threat, right?
He's at
Like,
worst, your second
yeah,
best.
all he does is
at
walk.
very worst. If your starting guy has 2, and we're how many games in? 40 something?
Yeah.
Almost 50 games in?
Yeah,
that's a
'cause
no
it's like
bueno.
people are like 24 and 24.
Yeah, that's a no bueno. There's no way that's your starting DH. No.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, and his numbers don't look that bad because he's got a high on base percentage.
Yeah.
But it's not productive offense.
Yeah.
It's you come up in a big spot and you walk, and then the guy behind you grounds out and the inning's over. So it looks like you did a good thing in a big spot, but really they needed him to drive in the runs.
Yeah.
Vogelback can't do that. There's no reason.
And he's never really done it, has he?
I mean, he was okay last year. Remember, he hit some home runs last year.
What was
He
his,
hit
what was
the
his
grand
numbers? Did he hit
slam.
over 20 home runs?
Total, yes.
He was
But
over
he
20?
hit some with Pittsburgh. I think he hit 12 with Pittsburgh.
Really?
So he didn't hit that many with the Mets.
All right, so he had 12 before he came over.
Right.
What did he end up with, 21, 22?
You know, he might not have hit 20.
Because I'm going to say, again, DH, starting DH, should be 25 home runs. Minimum.
Right.
Minimum
you
25
really,
home runs.
yeah.
Because that's all you got to do is hit the ball. You don't got to field. You should be at 25 home runs minimum. Minimum for a DH.
Okay, let me see. I'm trying to find it. So last year... God, I suck at looking up stats.
You always find that.
I swear to God. I suck at it.
It's amazing how he does that, boys and girls. It's just like, whatever the stat is, he's going to have to go the long way to get it. It's just,
he only hit 18 last year.
See, that's not.
But I was right. He hit 12 with the Pirates.
18 total?
Then when he came over to us, he hit 6.
No, that's no bueno.
He did have 25 RBI, but that's still...
No. Minimum, if you're a starting DH in Major League Baseball, you have to be minimum 25 home runs, 80 RBIs. I think that's a fair numbers.
Yeah.
For a DH.
If you want to be a championship
If you want to be, you got to be
team.
minimum that. 25 and 80, I'll live with. If you're below that, though, and you're a starter, no.
I wonder. I wish we had like a list of DHs
Well, Poppy.
to see. No, I'm talking about
Yeah,
like
I mean, there are guys.
right now in baseball, who's doing that?
Who is
you
doing
know?
that? Well, yeah, who's on pace to do it?
Right.
Because to me, I think those are fair numbers. Do you think I'm off my rocker with
No,
those? Do
I
you
think
those are
you're right. Like-
Spot on 25 and 80 should be the minimum.
I would
If
hope
you're a
so.
DH, I mean,
What about average?
I would say
260 in today's game. 250.
260 to 270.
Actually, 250. If you're giving 25 bombs, 80 something RBIs,
250.
I think 250 would
Okay.
would get you a starting position because that's production. 25 homers
Yeah.
and 80 something RBIs, and that's your down year.
Yeah. No, that's
Or
good
that's your
point.
like baseline year.
Anything else for now, or do you think?
Well, the other thing I don't like about Buck, or I'm annoyed at Buck about, is he was on the Michael Kay show, and he brought up the fact that like he didn't, he has to listen to Pete say things in and out of the dugout, and then Michael Kay was like, did it bother you that he cursed on the field? And Buck was like, of course it did.
Why?
Because Pete was basically doing an on-field interview after one of the Mets' big wins. I think it was after the one where he hit the bomb.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so have you seen those?
The
On-field baseball interviews
I've seen some of them.
where right after the game
Yeah.
is over, they interview the guy, but it's
Yeah.
broadcast in the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
he's on the big
fans
board.
here.
Yeah. Yes.
The fans here.
Yeah.
So at the end of his interview, he goes, "Let's fucking go Mets," into the mic. That's like a phrase he coined a couple years ago.
Let's fucking go Mets.
LFGM, yeah. Let's fucking go Mets.
I like that.
So,
LFGM.
so he says that into
LFG,
the mic.
motherfucker. You should get on your Mets hat. You should have that right in
No,
there.
they have hats like that.
But you should
LFGM.
yeah, do you have one? You should get
No.
one. Oh,
I don't wear hats.
only
Look,
problem I have.
but here's my thing. But then Bugs on the radio saying like it bothered him that he said the F word. What do you think?
A grown man, in a professional sport, saying that, I don't even know.
Well,
what,
people are like, it's not a good look with kids in the stands.
they've been doing that forever with kids in the stands. What the hell are you talking about? The kids turned out fine. It's like unfucking believable. Where was I not? Were you not American? And that, did you turn out okay? Did you suddenly go off and axe murder half a ten? No, you didn't. You were fine. Okay, and you probably heard some of that crap if you sat close
I
enough
just
to the
want to
field.
know how many parents out
That's
there
so
really
stupid.
have never cursed in front of their kid.
I got news for you. At some point, you snap. I don't care who
At some point you snap. It's in my vocabulary.
I'm Italian.
I curse in front of my children.
My
I
dad.
try to hold back sometimes.
My dad could have a whole sentence with the word "fuck" in it.
Oh, see, my dad wasn't like that.
My father could do that. That's where my father was with this. Red Sox, Anaheim Angels, first inning, nothing. Third quarter, end of third quarter, Celtics 88, Miami 79.
Oh, balls dropping?
I
Perhaps?
don't know. There's still a fourth quarter to go.
Is there a pair dropping?
Has Boston blown this lead before?
Is there a pair of testicles?
I don't know.
dropping?
I know this, that Boston had 8 turnovers in the first half. They had 1 in the third quarter. 1.
Sounds like somebody's tightening up.
I don't know, but they're about to. Mr. Tatum, 22, 10, and 5. Mr. Brown, still not Mr. Brown, 11 points. Derek White, 16. Grant Williams, 14 off the bench.
Anything from
Butler,
Time
24.
Lord?
Time Lord has 5 points, 1 rebound, nothing. He did nothing in the third quarter. Al Horford, 12 points. Marcus Smart, 6.
Derek White or anybody else?
Derek White, 16 points.
Oh.
So, look, they're ahead by 9 going into the
That's big.
fourth. I'm wondering if he wants to go in and watch the fourth quarter.
Yes, let's do it.
I think we should do that. We can always come out and do a cursed third, which I think he wants.
I wouldn't mind. No, I want them to win.
Well, we're gonna find out.
I want them.
We're gonna come back for a quick third segment either way. But we'll see what happens, Boston. They're up 9. I'm afraid
There could be a pad dropping.
we'll see you on the other side.